Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Simply the Best Coaching Podcast, where we always keep it real, raw, and gonna push you for growth in an effort of promoting mental wellness. So today we're gonna talk about authenticity, or maybe the lack thereof. We're gonna point out how professionalism has, in a sense, that term has made us feel like that our showing up as our authentic self is somewhat showing up as fake. And even though it's a buzzword out there, some of the people that are being quote unquote authentic, they are actually showing you still their fake self. And that is a result of what we have done over years. And so y'all know also that I'm not going to bring you to awareness of these topics without providing a solution. So hang tight. Now, let's start with first. Some of us, you've gotten so far away from who your authentic self really is that you don't even know who that person is. You don't know yourself. So how can you even show up as being authentic when you don't know who you are? Now, I encourage those individuals to go and speak with a coach, counselor, or whomever to help you dig a little deeper and rediscover. And as always, it's really not your fault. So you are a victim of your surroundings and what we put out there. Everywhere on social media, you see, even to the point of what I'm doing today, you will see someone dressed up with like their face beat, with their ensemble just on point, and nobody's really showing up as their authentic self. Well, that's what you're gonna get with me. That's part of the reason why I'm sitting in my office. I'm not all polished, and I just come to you raw. I'm gonna stumble over some words, and then later on, when we focus on the solution part, I'm gonna refer to my notes, because my brain was never meant to retain all of that information. And so I'm getting ahead of myself, but with us constantly doing all this stuff, what we are doing is creating unnecessary anxiety and stress. So, hey, promoting mental wellness here, right? So let's look at the truth. No matter who you are, where you are in the world today, you have at some point in your life felt the need to suppress who you really are to either get you in the door or make you more acceptable to the people that you are around in the situation that you're trying to do. You can look at that in your personal space, in your professional space, such as businesses, as also in jobs. Jobs are like probably the number one industry that we're going to do that in to maybe help us get through the door, especially black women. Now, once you get through the door, some of us do this little thing where I'm not going to act like that in some instances today, still in 2024, when this is being recorded, that some doors for some of us to get into, we do have to play like a little part. That is totally not okay, but I understand what you're doing, and I'm not talking to you. But this is where you need to listen up. When you get through that door, you continue to play that role, and that takes a toll on the person of who you are. And then you're going to see the effects of that. You're going to see anxiety because you're constantly going to be worried about how you're representing, how you're showing up. Do they really see who I really am? And when they find out who I really am, are they going to kick me out? So I ask you this. Is it really worth you to even try to be in that space? Is it worth it? If you find yourself, those of you, and I commend you, going out there for the greater good, doing those type things, I encourage you to get in there and do what you got to do and get out. Or get in there and do what you got to do and promote change in some kind of way that is not going to take a toll on your mental health. Next, you're going to see fake is celebrated. We see it everywhere, y'all. I don't care like what the media says. You are perfect the way that you are. I know there are some people who are going to go out and have some kind of augmentation for your personal reasons. If you do that, make sure that that's what the reason is. Not because you're following some fake Instagram model or something like that and you want to show up and look like them, or society has made you think that this is what is acceptable. Next, let's talk about the corporate environment. Now, for whatever reason, we feel like that emotions have no room in the corporate space. And that even trickles down to business. That is absolutely not true. There is a time and a place for everything. Now, what we have seen has happened is that we have totally removed emotion from places where it serves a purpose. And women always get beat up on about this. Now, there are decisions that are being made that are going to solely be dependent upon the facts. Then you're going to go a step further. You're going to need to consider how it's going to affect X, Y, and Z, the emotional toll it's going to take. Let me give you an example. So say your said institution or whatever you have is servicing your clients and your clients are happy. They are very happy. Y'all know this is going on. Next, you look at the individuals that are servicing those clients and they are not happy. They're not happy at all. What do you think is eventually going to happen? When people are happy, they tend to patronize you. They tend to spend money. They tend to refer you to other people. That's what you need them to do, right? But eventually, the person that is actually servicing those individuals is going to trickle down that anger, that frustration. It's going to trickle down to your customer, said client, patient, whatever it is. And then they're not going to be so happy anymore. So that's why it does you justice to pay attention to the emotional toll of the people that are actually showing up and representing you, as far as a business, as far as a corporate space, whatever it may be. Eventually it's going to bleed off onto the individual that you need in order to keep staying alive. There are a lot of businesses that we don't even understand how their doors stay open, but it's because people patronize them because of the way they make them feel. We refer back to some of the quotes that people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Now, because subconsciously, and this taps into something that I talked about a little earlier when it comes to like the grief response. If your body can remember a trauma, don't you think your body can remember when something made you feel good? And it's going to, if your brain's sole responsibility is to keep you safe, it's going to encourage you to go that way? Yes. And you're going to be a little hesitant when you want to try something new? Because its sole responsibility is to keep you safe. Now, next you may have been around some fake friends. We're gonna keep it raw like that. And for whatever reason, in order for you to be around those people, you have to pretend to be somebody that you're not. You need to reevaluate that situation. You need to look and see, is it really worth it? Do you really need to be in this circle? Is this really a circle that's appreciating us? What is the purpose of you being in this circle? Let's jump straight to, because I think y'all understand how we are showing up as our quote unquote fake authentic self. Let's jump into how we can embrace who we really are and show up as our authentic self, which the world needs so much more of that. One, you're going to change the narrative. Now, some of these things you're maybe going to want to solicit the help of a life coach, counselor, whatever, to help you with this. That's okay. But for the most part, just pay attention to what I'm saying. You're going to want to change the narrative. Like I said, if the places that you're showing up are constantly requiring you to show up as someone that you are not, you're going to need to reevaluate the situation and see, do I really need to be present here? Is my presence really required? Should these people even have access to me? If the answer is yes, then you're going to look further and you're going to change the narrative. You're going to tell yourself, yes, sometimes we're even going to have to speak this out loud. That's in the next step. But you're going to have to reaffirm to yourself that you as your authentic self is celebrated and accepted here. And it is totally acceptable and possible for you to be who you are and be professional. We got to tie it back together. You got to change the narrative and tell yourself, instead of thinking that, oh, no, did I really say that like that? You have to remind yourself that you, who you are, the raw one when you wake up, the way that you really speak is professional. And embrace that. That is going to take a little time. We're going to take baby steps here, y'all. Next, you're going to need to affirm your authenticity. Yes, this one will require you to actually factually say it out loud and to maybe even stick a little more, say it in the mirror. You brace yourself. You may find yourself even getting a little emotional, because with you doing this, you're going to say, if you need a little help with the verbiage to say, you're going to say, I am professional as my true self. Yes, I am professional as my true self. Say it out loud right now. I am professional as my true self. Okay? When you look in the mirror, this is a coaching technique. When you look at the mirror, that's going to enhance it. You may find yourself getting a little emotional about it. Why? Because you're becoming aware of the fact that you have not been being your true authentic self. And you're going to feel that. And it's going to make you feel a certain type of way. So I encourage you to do that. Next, you're going to need to redefine professionalism. Now, instead of professionalism being what society has always told us it was, we're going to look at what's going on. And you're going to recognize that some things are acceptable now as they should have always been. But they're more acceptable now because as we know better, we do better, right? For example, and still we fight this today though, but in most institutions, my hair is perfectly acceptable, right? But there was a time when, for those of you that listen to the audio, I have locks. But there was a time when locks were not so much celebrated. Rather, they are kept or unkept. We still, in 2024, y'all have this conversation going on when it comes to locks, braids, afros, things thereof. How you dare you tell someone their hair in their natural state is not professional? Is it clean? Is it upkept? That's the things that we should be looking at, not necessarily the style. So you're going to look at yourself and you're going to remind yourself that I am professional. Let me share with you a little bit about myself. There used to be a time, especially when we had this conversation like the natural hair gang. But there was a time that I went for an interview, and when I just had the natural hair like the fro, that sometimes I would actually flat iron my hair so that it would be acceptable. As I evolved, as I got more in tune with who my authentic self was and what professionalism really actually does mean, not so much. For example, the last corporate position that I had, I actually showed up looking like Angela Davis on purpose with red and everything because I wanted them to know that I came there to change. That's what my resume represented. That is what I wanted. So I wanted them to see me in my likeness. And then there are other times when maybe, I know all of y'all are not going to be able to do this, but there are other times also when people have shared with me inside of my sister circle that they have showed up, with the flat ironed hair or maybe the braids tame like in locks like this, but then when they showed up to the job, it's like a whole nother person. But where did all this start? And we know where it starts, so I don't even have to go back and talk about that. Y'all know that. But we are embracing the fact that who I am sitting before you right now today is acceptable. And who you are, yes, you're acceptable as well. So you're going to need to, unfortunately, because of the society that we've come up in and live in, eventually it's going to bleed onto you. So then you're going to have to make yourself a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, you're going to have to be vulnerable. Yes, I know. But you're going to have to redefine what professionalism means to you. For example, professionalism means setting boundaries. There is what are you willing to change and what are you not willing to change for that said position, opportunity, whatever it is. Have a boundary. Next, for example, let me give you an example. Maybe I would be willing to tone down the color of my hair, but not the style. That's just me personally. That's just giving you an example. Next, you're going to show some vulnerability. Okay, it's totally okay to be vulnerable a little bit. And what that may look like also is speaking up when things don't seem right. And not just balling it all up and taking it and feeling like, because you're in this professional space, that your feelings don't matter. That goes directly back to what we say, emotions don't have a place in like the professional environment. That is totally untrue. If that was the case, then we wouldn't be emotional beings, right? So we're going to need to take into account that. So you're going to have to take a little time and go and develop who your authentic self is, what they're willing to accept, what they're not willing to accept. And then we're going to go directly into number 4. Baby steps. I'm not going to push you. You're going to need to show small acts of authenticity. What that's going to mean is that you're going to talk like you normally talk a little bit around your peers, in your circle, and just be you. And just welcome whatever feedback you get. And take mental note and sometimes maybe even some paper notes if you're one of those people that really need to write things down when it comes to processing this later. then you're going to show up with maybe dressing the way you really want to dress. I'm not talking about being dressing provocative or anything like that, but maybe you're dressing the way that a model that was shown to you, that you feel like that's what you should dress. But maybe you're wearing all dark clothes, no colors, no anything like that. But you really are a person that loves colors, you love fashion. Show up as who you are. Keep it in mind that some institutions, and actually absolutely nothing wrong with it, have a dress code according to the dress code, but allow yourself a little bit of freedom. And then in your personal space, have fun. Show up as you really are. Then you're going to find yourself being more fulfilled by the actual experiences that you have, or just you're going to become more comfortable with it. And the more comfortable you are, the more you're going to find yourself showing up as who you really are. And you're also probably there's going to be a transformation there. You're going to be a little bit excited and a little bit interested as the person that actually showed up. So you're going to be allowing yourself to evolve, which you've been halting all this time. Now this is key. You're going to surround yourself. Community is so important. You're going to surround yourself by authentic people. Did I say people just like you? No, I meant you're going to surround yourself with authentic people. People that are comfortable with showing up as the people that they are. Why? Because what they have shown you is that they can be trusted, that they will be true, that they're going to be who they are in this season and the next. And community so does matter. That's one of the things that I encourage a lot of my clients to do. Is we often talk about how it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to support an adult as well. So I tell you to check into the village that you've built. And that's the cool thing. Kids we're dropped into a village and we're just like given one. As adults, you create that village and you have total control on who has access and who does not. I can probably count on one hand the amount of individuals that actually have my number and can get me to pick up the first time they call. Why? Because I'm very protective of my space. Very protective. So everybody else, they can text me and just tell me what they need to if they have my number. And then the rest of them, they're going to have to probably find a way to get to me. There are layers to this, as there should be layers to you. Everybody should not have access to you. Now, at the end of the day, feeling fake has got you through some doors, and I know some of you are out there saying it, but be mindful of the fact that it's not going to keep you there. And those of you that find yourself staying there and trying to keep up that fake self, that you're going to feel the toll of that stress. You're trying to be someone that you're not, and you're going to feel that emotional toll, mental toll, even physical toll. So be mindful of, do you need to remain in this space if you can't eventually really be who you are? But when you are enter into a space being your authentic self, that will keep you there, because that's the purpose and why the person has you there in the first place. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit more detail in an article. So if you're not following me, feel free to do that. But to help the corporate individual understand what's going on inside of your institution so they can do something about it. Now, I encourage you guys to go out there and discover who your true authentic self is. Embrace that individual and show up as such, because the world needs more authenticity, and it starts with you. Now, thank you for tuning in, and remember, you are simply the best when you show up as your true self. This has been Coach MT, the founder of Simply the Best Life Coach Academy. Bye-bye.